Here we are. We are live. We are live 2 minutes early to give people a little bit of time to find us, to get situated, to figure out what they want to say, what they want to know. Tell me everything. I'm Carolyn J. Carpenter, one of the founders of Hollywood Gatekeepers, where we train people how to read and analyze screenplays. And today we're going to be talking about living your best life, which might seem like it has nothing to do with reading screenplays. However, it absolutely does. So as people roll in, hang on, checking a couple things here. Awesome. I just want to say, if you want to know more information about becoming a reader, you can check out, you're either watching this in our Facebook group or on our YouTube channel. There's many more trainings within the Facebook group and on this YouTube channel. So you can take a look at all the different trainings we have about being a reader. If you're interested in learning and becoming a reader yourself, you can go to hollywoodgatekeepers.com/masterclass and learn more about being a reader there. And today, again, we're going to be talking about living your best life, because as a reader, we read screenplays and we spend a lot of time critiquing others. And so because we spend so much time critiquing others, sometimes that can be stressful. So we read and analyze screenplays, we give people our honest opinion, and sometimes that can be hard. And so I always, in our programs, we talk a lot about living your best life, about really like taking care of yourself, self-care, all of that, because the more that you have a contented life and the more that you are able to have an even kill life, the better reader you will be, because you'll be able to give, you won't take your angst out on that screenplay. You won't hate everything, as the email said that went out today. I hope you guys saw that. Like, people sometimes say, what if I hate everything? What if I hate all the screenplays that I read? If you're hating everything that you're reading, it's because you're stressed out and you're not coming from a place of fun and curiosity. And that's what we want all our readers to do, is come from a place of fun and curiosity. So today we have a really spectacular guest who's going to help us with living our best life. And she absolutely walks the walk on this in terms of how do you live a life that will support you as a person who wants to do anything. Hey there, Kat. Nice to see you. So let me introduce Tina Holler. And she's worked with me personally. She's coached me like in amazing ways. She's really helped me take a look. I mean, I laugh because we're both laughing, because she's helped me kind of take a look at myself in many ways. And she's someone I can always count on to give me the straight scoop. And like, you know, she doesn't pull punches. And so she's learned as a coach, like how to support others creating the life that they want to create. And just like we will be doing as readers, we are supporting others getting that script to the screen. So being able to self-care and take care of yourself is so important, so that you can help others with that. So with no further ado, let me introduce Tina Holler. Tell us a little bit about yourself, eh?
Yes, I'm from Canada. So if I say a lot, that's why. I'm a health and wellness coach, and I use the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, to help women create significant change in their health and wellness. And so that they can live they can actually thrive in life instead of surviving. We tend to just survive. We go through the motions of life. We don't really sit back and say, you know, how could we do things differently, and how could we do things better? Mm-hmm. We only have one life, right? And so why not live it to the max? And so that's what I try to encourage all my clients to do, is to not settle, and to, you know, reach for the best, reach for, you know, bring yourself to a higher level, and always strive to bring yourself to a higher level.
Absolutely. Well, and we talk a lot about this. And for you guys that are readers and you're working in entertainment, people that are writing screenplays, they're going for it, right? They're going for that big dream. And we're here helping them do that. And so right away, we're already in a different echelon of people that are going for things, and like they're reaching out, trying to get that dream to happen. So it can really be it can be stressful. It can be like all of those things. And so as you become a reader, for you to also be reaching for you having a very content life, and you reaching for the dreams that you want, the companies you want to work with, or the writers you want to work with, whatever it might be, like having that foundation is so important. And Tina and I talk a lot about how, unfortunately, most people don't, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit more, Tina, about how most people don't reach for becoming more healthy, or reach for the things that will make them more healthy until there's a diagnosis of some kind, or a crisis of some kind. Then they might say, oh, I better, you know, change my this or change my that. And what are your thoughts on that particular?
Yeah. So when people think about health, they often will think about longevity. how long am I going to live? And with medical science now, we can live a very long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, it's not how long we live, because quantity is not really what we should be putting our eyes on. It's more the quality. And so increasing that health span, to create, to live life as pain-free, without like mobility issues, without any chronic disease. That's what health span is. If we can increase that, and to a much longer period, so that when we get to our golden years, we're actually able to do the things that we want. And I often tell people, put those health deposits in your health account now. And we always we always think about our finances, and we're putting, deposits in our bank account, and thinking for the future, but we don't think that way with our health. We tend to wait, as you said, until something devastating happens to us. It stops us in our tracks and says, okay, you need to pay attention now. Mm-hmm. But what I often say is, like, our body will tell us when things aren't right. So listening to those whispers, those little nudges, little pokes along the way, before they start to scream at you and say, whoa, no, you have to stop, and now you've got something serious to deal with. Mm-hmm. It's much harder to come back from a more devastating diagnosis than it is if you just put these little health deposits in now, so that you don't have to endure that forward. Wouldn't that be a much more...
What a concept, right?
Yeah.
It is kind of amazing how you don't think about it. Yeah, for sure. And there's been times that I've had a few times. There was one time not too long ago where I was planking and I was like starting to shake and like, oh, and I had this moment of like, you better thank me, future self. This sucks right now. But it is that idea of like, I'm so thankful back from my dancing days, because even though I was dancing and doing the can 6 times a day, every day, I started to actually get out of shape, which might sound sort of ridiculous, but your body sort of acclimates to the level of your activity. And so I'd been doing it for a while, and I was starting to realize, wow, I'm kind of out of shape. So I started coming early and jogging around the outside of the theme park before going inside and doing the can. And then on my long break, I worked with weights. And at the time, people thought I was crazy, but it made me feel so much better. And it just like helped me. And I was just active that way. But now, decades later, I'm so thankful that I did that, because I still have that core strength. Even as I, struggle with some things or whatever, I still have that core strength. And by having that core strength, that's because I work so hard at it. And it does remind me, like, keep at it for future reference, for sure. Yeah. So Kat's saying I'm in my 70s, and I really appreciate what you're saying. Right. So it's totally, and I've worked with you, Kat, and I know how much energy you have, and you come to things, you show up with a lot of energy. And so I think some of these, is that me beeping? I hope not. I think that some of these tips that we can give you guys will really help you as you go out into the world and really start working with writers and producers and that kind of thing. So walk us through a little bit, like, what do you do with your clients? How do you work with them?
Well, basically, a lot of people think about health as, am I eating well? What's my nutrition? What's my, am I exercising? But what I want people to look at is from a more holistic point of view, because it's much more than that. That's what I call the outer game, but there's the inner game. And if there's no balance between the inner and the outer game, then you're never going to have true health. So when I talk about the inner game, it's our mindset, it's our emotions, it's, what are our belief systems? Is what we're saying to ourselves, that self-talk, is it hindering us, or is it helping us? And
often, give us an example.
Yeah. So for example, if you're in a job that is, you're not happy, you have a boss that's always yelling at you, the work isn't fulfilling, that's a clear indication that you're not, that you have some sort of limiting beliefs that are lurking in your subconscious mind. Because what happens is they become so entrenched in our neurology, right down to the cellular level, that they become our internal programming. Right. And so we do things and we make decisions based on what our underlying belief system is. And so if we're thinking, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not, I could never, maybe I don't have the charisma for this job, or I don't have, if you're talking that kind of talk to yourself, it's going to hinder you from getting the very thing that you want. You want that advancement, or you want that job. You want to become a reader. You have a lot of passion for that, but you're not getting there because, I can't quit my job because I need that security, or there's something that's pulling you. So the way I always tell my clients that the one way that you know that you have these limiting beliefs, because as I said, they're so entrenched in our neurology, we sometimes don't even know we have them. But one way to figure that out is to look at all areas of your life. So look at your career, look at your relationships, look at your health, look at your wealth, and look at your fun and leisure. If any of those areas are not, if they're not at a level that you want them to be, if you're not feeling totally content in any one of those areas, then there's limiting beliefs that are lurking. So doing that investigation work, that self-discovery is very critical. So when I say self-discovery, it's like going inwards and saying, okay, what am I thinking right now? What are the thoughts? What are the thoughts around this job that I'm not happy about? Why do I think I can't leave? Why do I think I can't get my dream job? And really trying to do that investigation of, what are my emotions around this? And because once you can discover that, then you can start to do the work to change it. Change your thoughts, because those patterns, they were entrenched since like childhood. For whatever reason, you've internalized different events or different people said to you, and you've created a belief system around it. And so to change it, by changing it to an empowering belief, we can program that empowering belief into our system, and that's when real change happens.
Can you give us some examples of maybe some of your students or some of your clients that you've worked with that you've seen kind of some transformations that have happened with them? I mean, I can speak to it by working with Tina for sure, but I want it to be about other people.
So I have one client who was totally burnt out. I have a lot of clients that are burnt out.
Yeah.
Especially middle-aged women, because we've been doing, raising a family, trying to get our career going, all of that. And we don't take the time for self-care, most of us. And so what happens, and a lot of us, especially if you're an empath, you have the people-pleasing personality, right? Like you take on everything. You can't say no to anything. There's a lot of us like that. I was one of them. And so this one client, she was extremely burnt out. She worked for a pharmaceutical company. She was working long hours, and her health was really starting to suffer. She had heart problems. She was overweight. She had mobility issues. And she said, so I coached her through all of this. She was able to transition into a new job. And so when she transitioned, she was at a much healthier mindset, but she knew what she wanted. So she was very specific with the new job. I'm only working 9 to 5. I don't work after 5. Don't ask me to work after 5, and don't ask me to work on weekends. Very clear guidelines, and sticking to them.
Yeah.
Because as a people pleaser, it's very hard for us to not say no, because we don't want to be that person that's not helpful, or that person that's not, not doing things.
Yeah.
And so, but sticking to her guns. So understanding that that she needs to have balance in her life. And so it's not all about work, and how she can balance properly by doing things that are going to rejuvenate her and increase her energy, because that's what we need to do. We need to raise our vibration so that we have the energy to be creative, to be curious, to have fun in things that we do. If we don't have a lot of energy, if we're in those low energy vibration states like sadness and depression, anxiety, blaming, shaming, that kind of judgmental mindset, that's going to bring our vibration right down. And the thing is, when our vibration is low, that's when disease happens, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't have the energy to fight it.
Yeah.
So keeping our energy levels high by doing things that are going to increase that energy in us, by eating nutritious foods, by exercising, by doing self-care, not taking on more than we can, checking in with ourselves before we take on a task to say, is this something I can take on right now? You know, always asking yourself, taking that pause before taking it on. Because it's not that you never take anything on, but you take it on for the right reasons.
Right.
It's a win-win situation, right? So finding ways to increase our vibration to levels of when we're love, joy, gratitude, and peace are the 4 highest vibration states. If we can stay in that state most of the time, then we're going to be in a much better place.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when one of those areas, like the career, the wealth, the health, when they're out of balance, our energy is going to be low.
Totally.
So it's a good
Yeah, sorry. We talk a lot too about values, and you and I have talked about values as well. And it's something that we talk a lot about in our courses. And well, one little side note I want to say, as you listen to this, you guys that are readers and you guys that write screenplays too, the other idea is that when you're creating characters, to have be cognizant of what are their limiting beliefs when you create characters. So this always applies both to our lives, and the more we apply what we learn for ourselves and we create better lives, the more we apply that to writing good characters, the more authentic our screenplays are going to be, and the more people will relate to them. So when you find these tools for yourself, you can also use them as being a writer, so that you could create a character who's either really self-aware and is really aware of this thing, or who's not at all, and they're a people pleaser and they're all over the map and they're super unhappy. Because you know what it takes to be happy, you can create characters that are either in that zone or not. So that's always a side note that I always want to toss out there for people to think of. But then the other part of this is the values conversation about, that's another way that you can determine your limiting beliefs, is by really realizing, if you want to know what you think about money, look at your bank account. If you want to know how you value your health, what did you eat today? It's pretty straight ahead. Like, it's pretty much like, just watch what you're actually doing, track what you actually do, and it will show you what you value. So, and try to do without any judgment. So, because if you judge everything, then all kinds of things can go awry. But if you just sort of stay curious, just like you do when you read a screenplay, you want to start with curiosity and be like, okay, so I know that I want to get healthy. But what did I eat today? What did I eat yesterday? What did I eat the day before that? What am I doing with my days? How much, sedentary time do I have? And if you find that you want to work on your reading career, you want to work on your writing career, and you're just not getting it done, often that's not a time, for one, it's for sure not a time issue or even a money issue. A lot of the times it's a boundary issue. It's that if you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, doing everything for everybody else, and you're never doing anything for yourself, that's a boundary thing. You're not being able to say no to people. You're not being able to put yourself in, put the mask on yourself and then on the person. You're not able to kind of do that. But if part of that is because you value family, that's fantastic. Of course you should value family, but it's about finding those, knowing what is the value you need in order to get the thing that you want. Is it that if to be healthy, you want to be able to value your health? Okay, what do you have to do in order to shift that value? Because we can change our values if we look. Most people don't look, and whatever value they have was sort of downloaded by their parents and community and churches and schools and all the things that we watch and take in and listen to. That will help create our values. But if you want to change those values, you can also reverse engineer it, where you decide the value that you want and then slowly make the changes to get to that value. So if you are running around with a chicken, like with your head cut off, you're not valuing your time to work, starting to value that by creating your own space, by creating your own time that you work, by saying, no, this is when mom is working right now. This is what we're, like starting to set those boundaries. It can make a huge difference. You'd be surprised at how tiny little changes can make a huge difference.
Massive.
So what are your thoughts on that in terms of values and value changing and all of that?
Yeah, because when we're in congruence, because we may have certain values, but we're not living to those values.
Yeah.
And that can create incongruency within our body. And it will create, resistance and stress and all of that, because we want to be a certain way and we value a certain thing, but we're not living our life in alignment to that.
Yeah.
And so understanding, that's a big thing too that I have my clients work on, is really understanding what are your 5 top core values.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, and I was the same, like, when I was first asked, what are your core values? I was like, oh, I have no idea.
I know, right?
Like,
like, or what?
Before. And when I started to really think about it, I got very clear on what those were.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually even just wrote, like, actually, if you look behind me, they're in my frames there, all my core values, because I read them every day to make sure that I'm still staying in alignment with those core values.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for us to get kind of, busy and everything throughout the day, and we lose track of those core values.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm busy again, but my value is to have vibrant health, and busyness is not giving me vibrant health. Okay, wait, I need to stop and reassess.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It makes so much of a difference. And I had those moments of, I did the same exact thing. My what? Okay. All right. And just kind of like, this is what I value. And then realized pretty much right away, like, wow, I say that, but that's not what I do every day. Like, I'm not even close to what I say my values are. It was like, holy smokes, total, like, wow, eye-opening, like, oh my. So then it was like, okay, what can I do? And like, take a breath and just slowly shift, not be too judgmental of yourself. Have some compassion. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
So you have a workshop that's coming up. So if anybody has any questions for Tina, feel free to throw them in the chat. We love talking about this stuff. If you have some issue that you're struggling with and you want to ask any questions, feel free to put that in the chat and we'll be happy to talk about it. But tell us a little bit about the benefits. So you have like a program that's coming up in October. What are some of the benefits that you're going to be working on with your clients with that?
Yeah, so it's called the Renew You System, and basically it's a 3-month program where we walk through together in a group environment. We help each other out, but it's a guided program, a course, I guess you can say, that has a lot of different benefits, but it really gets you clear on your values, your passion, your why, and it creates a unique experience for you, like, so that you can uniquely define your goal for you, because we try to cookie cut a lot of times, and try to say, like the biggest thing now is keto diet. It's like, oh, I got to jump on the keto diet bandwagon. But the reality is we got to kind of look at you and what makes sense and what's going to create longevity and what's going to create a lifelong transition. Because, to jump on these quick fixes, they're not sustainable. And so we get really clear on what makes sense in your world. Everybody has a different model of the world and what makes sense for you. And we design a whole program that will, reprogram the brain for success. It was to show you how to manage your stress and your overwhelm. It helps you balance your hormones, because a lot of time, like, stress can really affect our hormones. So once we get our stress, leveled out, then the hormones will start to readjust themselves. It helps if you've got pain in your body. It helps reduce pain in your body, because a lot of pain is emotional pain, and will help to release some of that pain. It will help increase your immune function. And that's the one thing that's I've noticed the most is I don't get sick anymore. Like, I used to get sick all the time, and I was nobody could understand, because on the outside I was working out. I was an ultra marathon runner, so I was running trail races, 50-kilometer trail races. I was in the really good shape physically. I was eating. I've always ate pretty good, so that was never an issue for me. But I was a mess inside. I had leaky gut. I had adrenal fatigue. I had horrible headaches. I was getting headaches all the time, constant pressure in my sinuses. I had lead poisoning. I had all these problems.
Mhm.
And everybody would say to me, like my family members would say,
Mhm.
like, I don't understand. You eat so well and you exercise. Like, why are you so sick? Because they
Mhm.
weren't. But I was always sick. I would get the cold.
Mhm.
Somebody sits beside me with a
Yeah.
cold. I had the cold. But now I wasn't sick at all. Like all through COVID, nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't get a, yeah. And
It's
people around me
for
now
sure.
are always getting sick. So it really, like the emotional piece is so so critical to the healing,
It
to
really
keep
is. And
healthy.
we're just now, I'm seeing some doctors and, you're just starting to make that connection just on a grander scale. And I'm so looking forward to when that becomes so much more integrated. But we look for that physical, what is the physical problem? I'm going to go get a doctor to give me a diagnosis. And even though we need to combine it, right? So I'm not saying at all to throw away your doctor or giving medical advice. I'm not a doctor whatsoever, but to be able to combine those things and realize how much your emotions are having to do
Yeah.
with what's happening for sure. For
I
sure.
always say be that detective of your own body because
Yeah.
when things aren't right.
Yeah.
Right. And question it. Oh, my stomach feels a little off today. Why? Or I got that little pain in my neck. Why?
Yeah.
And so really try to dive deep to what's really going on.
Mhm.
And I also say a lot to do journaling and just check in with yourself often, at
Mhm.
least once a day, if not more, and just say, how are you feeling right now? What is your emotions? Where's your energy level? What do you need right now? Because sometimes we just need something small, like my energy is a little bit low, so maybe have a glass of water, a large
Yeah.
glass of
You
water.
might be dehydrated. Yeah, something very simple for sure. Yeah.
So,
A nap.
or maybe I just need to eat,
Yeah.
some high nutrient dense foods because I haven't eaten much today. Or,
Yeah.
but if we don't pause and ask ourselves that question, we
Mhm.
keep
Mhm.
puttering through,
Mhm.
and we before we know it, we're totally depleted.
Yeah. So
So,
easy to do. Yeah.
yeah,
And so I'm sorry, I can't see your name. It just says Facebook user. But you said I had a stroke in 2020 and now diagnosed with cancer. Goodness, I'm so sorry that you've been going through such hard things. Those are both huge. You need purpose and something to do, something you can do from home. Well, you're in the right place, first of all. And the fact that you're here watching this, like, I want to give you some love for that. And some that means that you're looking, you're taking some action, and some of these things about journaling. And I just went through, I have a friend who beat ovarian cancer, and she's such an inspiration to me. And I think some of these small things might seem sort of ridiculous when you're facing big diagnoses like that, but it is kind of amazing how those small things can make a big difference in the struggle that you're
yeah,
having. So, do you want to add anything to that, Tina?
yeah. I was just gonna say, like, you hear people that have gotten really bad diagnoses, like stage
Mhm.
4 cancer, but then they totally turn it around,
Yeah, yeah,
totally turn it around. And you wonder how they were able to do
yeah,
that and somebody else wasn't.
yeah.
And a lot of it is the mindset. The
Hmm.
mindset. If you believe that you will turn it around, you will turn it around. Our minds are so powerful. And that's
Hmm.
why I use the power of the mind to, with a lot of the work that I do, using hypnosis or NLP, or timeline therapy, because it's so powerful to change those thought patterns.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
something that's going to be helpful.
Hmm.
And yeah, so believe that you can be healed. Our bodies have an innate ability to heal itself.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's spectacular. And as I've watched her go through some pretty hardcore ups and downs, but now she just like, I mean, people would say you're so strong, and she'd be like, well, what's my option? But she does have options, and she was really strong throughout this, and now she's fine. And so it is, there's so many elements to it. And so being able to combine, and I see doctor says stress is a factor for sure. Stress is a factor always in everything. And so the more you can just give yourself so much grace, and if you ask yourself in moments of quiet and giving yourself a lot of love, forgiveness, and grace, and say, what are you trying to tell me, to your body? And just journal it out, see what answers come, because
Mhm.
some answers will come to you it's so amazing to me what those answers are. Sometimes they're not, they sort of can be very surprising every once in a while. Like, it's like, oh, I didn't even realize I was upset about that. Or, I've shared this before. This is okay. I'm really like sharing now, but this is like some journaling. How's that? So being able just to write, that's just random, just writing, like to help get any kind of angst or any kind of, I can write whatever I want because no one can read that. So you can write, if your family drives you nuts, you love them, more than anything, but being able to get out all those little things that irritate you throughout the day, it is amazing how much that can help with your general mindset, your general levels of pain, all the things that you're going through for sure. Those are just, those little tools and tips and tricks. If you have any others, like maybe before we go, you can give us one kind of like general thing that people can do to sort of reduce their anxiety levels, or, I've given you a couple here, but maybe you can give us some more too.
Yeah.
What can people do?
Before I go into that, I was just going to mention that when I was going through all my health problems, the way I described it, and I didn't really realize this when I was going through it, the way when I finally, like when I realized it was when I started to heal and my body started to feel different. But it was like, like this elastic band that was pulled so tight within my body and it wouldn't release. Like my body, like my shoulders would always be like this, you know what I mean? Like it was, my body was so tight, and I didn't know how to relax. I go for a massage and they say, relax. It's like, I am.
I'm relaxed. Shut up.
Yes, I am. But, and a lot of that stress is just stuff and a lot of it's a limiting beliefs, that self-talk of what you think about yourself. I didn't have any self-love for myself. In fact, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. It was so bad. I just did not like what I had, what I saw, and had so many limiting beliefs about, like I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this and not that. I had a lot of baggage, if you, for lack of a word. But once I was able to release that, it was so freeing. Like, it's like, whoa, this is what you should feel like.
Yeah. When you realize that it's possible, for sure. So what's kind of one thing someone can do if they're feeling uptight?
So I call it my pie model. And it's the only pie I condone.
It's a guilt-free pie.
Guilt-free pie.
I like it.
So it's a 3-step process,
and
it's very simple. And so you just pause, inhale through your nose, and exhale through your mouth. And do that 5 times. You'll be surprised at how your body just really calms itself down. So simple, but breath is so simple. Like a lot of us breathe from our chest. It's like, you know what I mean? We're lots of anxiety, lots of stress. Then you're breathing from your chest, and we're not getting those deep breaths right from the diaphragm. And we really need those deep breaths.
Right.
And that's what calms down the parasympathetic nervous system. And so just that simple thing.
Is that a P? Is that a pause?
So pause, I is inhale, and
gotcha.
E is exhale. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very simple, and just 5 times, 3 to 5 times is usually enough to just really calm down the body. I use that a lot. Like if you're in a situation that feels a little tense, like you feel like, sometimes when I'm in crowded areas, I feel, too much. And so just removing yourself from that area, doing the deep breaths, getting the body back down to a normal state can make a huge difference.
Yeah. So it's pause, inhale, exhale. Is that the pie? Okay.
Pie.
The geek in me is like, what is the pie? What's the pie stand for? Okay, that makes total sense, right? And I do find that when I stop and do that, if I put my hands on my desk or my feet on the ground, there's something that really helps when you do that too. That you really like take a second to make yourself very present and breathe like that. It's like really, really, really interesting.
I find too, like if you're in a situation where you can feel that you're getting a little anxious or a little stressed,
Yeah.
I say just remove yourself from that situation.
Yeah.
Nobody's really going to just say, I have to go to the washroom, or somehow get yourself away from the situation. Do the deep breath or the pie model, and then go back into the situation, because then you'll be able to respond in a much more even kill manner.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. So helpful. I could talk to you all day, I swear. And I do. We often get together and we're like, okay, we have to go. We have to go. But
I know, we talked so long.
It's so much fun. And Tina also has a book that just came out. She just did a book signing last weekend, which is so exciting. It's called Feed Your Soul. There it is right there. It's so exciting. You can get it on Amazon. Definitely check that out. So just go to Amazon, and she's in Canada. We actually, when we first met, I was in Canada as well. We actually got to get together, which was fabulous. And then now I'm home, so we'll have to do that another time again. Sometime it'll be a little harder next time. But so definitely check out her book, Feed Your Soul, on whatever Amazon.ca for Canadians, for you Canadians out there. Yeah. And then also you have a new program coming up where you're bringing on new clients. So how can people find out about that?
So I sent you the link. So that's a website that will give you all the information on that. And if it sounds interesting, a good fit for you, you can click on the button there, set up a time we can discuss. And after our discussion, if you still feel that it's a really good fit, then we'll make it happen.
I definitely recommend you click on it and check out the page out. The page itself has so much good information on it. So definitely read through the page, because I have a feeling you'll be like, oh yeah, that's me. It's pretty much everyone that I think really can relate to this. So definitely check that out. And then your website what is your website again?
It's renewyoucoach.com, and it's YOU, renewyoucoach.com. Yeah. Well, you can see it with the course. You can see renewyoucoach.com.
There it is, right there. .com. So yeah, so
well,
this course, go to the website.
It's just renewyoucoach.com. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for that. Those of you that are sharing it in the Facebook group, I can't share links inside the Facebook group for some. You can't see the course address with the chat. Yeah, I just put it in the chat, but it doesn't show up in the Facebook group. So if anybody is able to copy that into the chat, into the comments, that would be fantastic. And hey, maybe could you grab that? Anae is our production assistant. She takes such good care of us. And I can't tell, I'm sorry that I can't tell all the people that are in here. There's a lot of Facebook user. So I'm super happy that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. And definitely try out these do the pie model for sure. That's a very simple one that will make a huge difference. And really start to ask yourself, what do you value? And really question, just graciously talk to your inner self to say, what are you trying to tell me with whatever you're going through, with how I feel sick today, or what diagnosis I have, or whatever it might be. And, and then really check out Tina, follow her on her Facebook group, join her there. And just, everything she does is really going to help you out. I really, really feel that. And I really do think it's important that you optimize we don't try to optimize for happy. We're going to be happy all the time, but life is lovely and awful and messy and beautiful and terrible and like all those things. And we're in the entertainment industry where we're creating stories where we're really wanting to understand all of that to create authentic stories. So the more you can understand it in your life, the better your stories will be, the better reader you'll be, the better your life will be. It's all connected. So anything else that you want to add? Thank you, Anae, for putting that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, now I've forgotten what I was going to say.
And it was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Sure. For sure.
I know it was brilliant. I'll remember as soon as we get off.
So we're optimizing for calm, cool, lovely lives. We're even keeled. We're like doing that surfboard thing on however life can be.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're living towards. Thank you so much for coming today. It's always such a treat to have you here. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for being here today. And go ahead and check out that page. Check out whatever Tina has to offer. I can't recommend her highly enough. She's helped me so much. And I've seen people have amazing transformations with her as well. So, and you will too, for sure. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And we will see you on the flip
And
side.
thank you, Karen, for having me on and allowing me to share this information with your members.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Such a pleasure. All right. Thanks, you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.